Hey everybody, I'm Hugh Brownstone for 3 Blind Men and an Elephant. Today, in my continuing quest to get my gear smaller, lighter, faster, better, and cheaper, I want to share with you what I've learned comparing two of the newest wireless labs I thought might help me get there. Sennheiser's XSW-D and RØDE's Wireless Go. I'll put links down below to my previous review of the Wireless Go, as well as our earlier videos on mics from RØDE, Sennheiser, and Sony, so that you can put the rest of the video in context. Again, down below. But before we get into it, I want to remind you that through our friends at Zeiss and Adorama, thank you guys, we are giving away a brand new factory-sealed Zeiss Batis lens of your choice. All you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram or Twitter, sign up to our email list, or purchase any item through any of our no-cost-to-you Adorama affiliate links in the description, show notes below any of our videos. That's it. You will be automatically entered to win. Of course, you know the drill. The more of these things you do, the higher the probability of you being the chosen one. So good luck, guys. We'll announce the randomly selected winner on August 1st. US addresses only. Sorry, I should have mentioned that at the very beginning, including last time. Also, because so many of you have asked for feedback on your photography, we are going to do our first ever video dedicated to just that. Please send us the one image you'd like us to review by uploading it to the Dropbox folder we've set up for it. Make sure the file name contains your first and last name so we can give you a shout out. While we can't promise you we'll get to all of them, we'll do our best. I'll put that Dropbox link down in the description below as well. Okay, back to those wireless labs and the bottom line, which goes something like this. I think it fair to say that the XSW was poised to be the innovative price-performance breakthrough in wireless systems, not just for mics, not just for video, not just for voice, but for musical instruments and live performance as well. Until RØDE stole their thunder, at least for video creators, when they beat Sennheiser to the punch by shipping the even less expensive, smaller, lighter, arguably superior operationally, longer-lasting battery-powered, even more innovative, again for video creators, Wireless Go. But here's the dirty little secret I learned while testing them side by side and comparing them to their more expensive brethren. Both the XSW and the Go achieved these price points by compromising on, drastically compromising on, above all other compromises, in fact, combined interference and distance performance. The question is, does this particular compromise actually matter to you? Well, maybe. But if not, and I suspect this is not an insignificant number of you, is there a different compromise made by one company or the other that distinguishes the labs from each other for the work you do and the way you do it? For us, the answer is a resounding no to the first question and yeah to the second. So let's get into it via a little storytelling. Once upon a time, a photographer became a filmmaker and YouTuber, and audio became the bane of his video existence. Yeah, right, of course, that would be me, but maybe you can relate. I bought my first wireless lav kit back in probably 2015, Sennheiser's workhorse EW100G2. It was clear why it had such a good reputation. It was solid, compact, well thought out, fully featured, excellent sound quality, and as far as I was concerned, the best I could afford. Or at least, that's how I felt at the time. Until one day, we filmed a commercial using a 1954 GMC pickup truck and got terrible interference from that truck's mid-last century electrical system. We switched to a wired mic and got the shot.
See the head?
Hey, sometimes that's the only thing you can do. But it happened again shortly thereafter while filming a dance tutorial. A car passing by the studio, much newer, was enough to ruin the take, though this time we were able to reshoot without changing gear, and that's important because we didn't really have a choice. The setup really required on-body mics. Still, I'd already been chafing under the weight of scanning for clear channels each time I set up in a new location, remembering banks and all the rest. Not only did it not make sense to me because it guaranteed we'd have to do another take in the event of interference, but as a one-man band, I used the G2s so infrequently that I'd have to reacquaint myself with the manual each time I went out. They were just not obvious, not intuitive. No bueno. Why didn't we have wireless systems that would automatically switch for us before we ever heard the interference? I eventually discovered Rode's smartphone $60 or $70 wired smart lav, and while I couldn't use it for everything, for quite a while, it served as my go-to in the Batcave, connected to an iPhone via the Rode Rec app, which I then sync and post. No biggie in Final Cut Pro 10. It took less time to set up. It didn't require me futzing around with batteries, worked well enough and sounded good enough that it relegated the EW100 set to a drawer for long stretches. I mean, I didn't really look forward to using the EW100 in any case. I looked for ways to avoid it. Call me lazy if you will, I completely understand. But as that great Shakespearean philosopher I often quote, the character of Dirty Harry Callahan, played by Clint Eastwood, once said, a man has to know his limitations. When Rode subsequently came out with their spread spectrum, automatic frequency hopping, $400 RODELink Filmmaker wireless lav kit with nothing to futz with except turning it on and making sure the transmitter and receiver were paired, and yeah, okay, loaded with fresh batteries with the gain properly set to one of 3 positions, I immediately put out our EW100 G2 system up on eBay and bought a pair of the Rodes. They became our go-to for trade floor interviews, our documentary series, and often served as our daily driver right here in the Batcave, though Sony's UWP-D11 and eventually Sennheiser's G4 system, especially with their MKE 600 shotgun, became part of our kit as well, when ultimate reliability, portability, or off-body setups were the orders of the day. The bottom line is that we never had an interference problem with the Rodes, or the others for that matter, though we did have to have both Rode lavs replaced under warranty, owing to a less than optimal mic cable design, subsequently redesigned and now standard on all RODELink kits. Credit where credit is due. Until Sennheiser introduced their AVX system. The AVX also uses spread spectrum technology like the Rodes, but with superior build quality, superior sound, and better punch, much smaller footprint, truly automagic gain control, rotatable and directly XLR pluggable receivers which eliminate the need for a cage when used with something like our Panasonic XLR Mic Adapter. I can't tell you how much I enjoy this fact. Custom, long-lasting, rechargeable batteries that can be swapped out without having first to detach them from the camera or rig, unlike the RODELink, or powered by an external battery via their USB port. Again, not something that you can do with the RODELinks. And operating in the less crowded 1.9 gigahertz band rather than the more common 2.4, well, the AVX became our favorite system of all time and remains so to this day. Bulletproof, operationally flawless, super quick setup and takedown. I just never worry about it because it did the business and kept me informed. B&H had to practically pry them out of my hands because they were on loan for testing. But B&H was great about it, so once again, Stuart, thank you. But at $700 for the lower spec ME2 mic variant, a single AVX kit was almost the price of a pair of RODELinks. This mattered to us specifically because we often do interviews and lavs are much faster to set up and take down than booming mics out on a pole. Still, I'd been bitten. For some time after that, I kept an eye out for a well-priced but pristine AVX system, which is basically an oxymoron. Until, and now we're almost current, Sennheiser announced in January their new line of wireless labs, the aforementioned XSW, the $350 XSW-D with the XLR receiver being the relevant one for us. Literally half the price of the base AVX set, mic included, but built upon the same spread spectrum frequency hopping technology. I immediately had visions of, once again, going onto eBay, this time putting the RØDELinks up for sale in order to swap them out for a pair of XSWs. All of the advantages of the AVX over the RØDELinks, I assumed, without having to sell a kidney. I awaited their arrival on the market with bated breath. And waited. And waited. Until RØDE announced their $200 Wireless Go and started shipping in volume first. I had an immediate need, so I bought 2 of them and have been using them regularly ever since. But hold that thought. I recently got my hands on the XSW system courtesy of Ted Bejas. Thank you, Ted. And was able to finally compare the two directly. In fact, in my most recent video, an update on the Sony a6400 and the original announcement of our Zeiss Lens giveaway, I fed both of them into our GH5 via the XLR adapter, along with the Sony UWP-D11 as a reference point. Actually, I've been doing the same thing in this video, this time adding in the RODELink Filmmaker and Sennheiser G4 for comparison, and switching from one to another throughout. Did you notice? Which did you like best? Least? Put your comments in the show notes below, and all will be revealed in the end. At the moment, I'm debating whether I do what I usually do and clean this signal, or just let you hear the noise floor. In any event, here's my bottom line, though of course your mileage may vary, and that's fine. The XSW is a more flexible, better built, and in theory, a better, simpler plug-and-play mic for our XLR mic adapter than the Wireless Go. But the Go, even when you add the Rode SmartLav with SC3 TRRS to TRS adapter, which you'll need, is a smaller, lighter, 16% less expensive alternative, 43% less expensive without the lav, which you can do because unlike the XSW, as you probably know by now, the transmitter comes with a built-in mic with far superior usability and battery life, and audio quality actually very close to, if a little thinner to the most sensitive ears than, the XSW. But, 1. You really do want to use a lav with the Go, unless you clip it in the right way, and even then, unless your clothing is appropriately stiff, you will likely face, as I did, the twin problems of the transmitter actually collapsing inward toward one's neck or chest, which in turn can simultaneously muffle and distort the sound. And even if it doesn't, your recording may suffer from excessive rustling sounds because chest hair just isn't that cooperative. I know, TMI. 2. The XSW does not have the AVX's Automagic gain control. It does not operate in the AVX's 1.9 GHz space, operating instead in the same, more crowded 2.4 GHz space as the Go and the RØDELink. Unlike the AVX and the Go, the XSW has no ability to change the output gain of the receiver. And while it does away with AA batteries in favor of a custom rechargeable lithium-ion battery, it is not removable or swappable. So it turns out, actually, that the biggest difference between the XSW and the Go is 3, usability, as I mentioned earlier. It's not just that the Go has a window which shows system status, including the usual whether or not the receiver and transmitter are paired, whether they're on, signal strength, battery strength, and input level, compared to the XSW's single button and single LED with which to determine same things, whether or not the units are turned on, running low on battery, paired, and muted, like the Go actually. Although it is pretty cool and useful that with the XSW, you can mute the transmitter from the receiver and not leave that to the talent. The biggest difference, get this, is the fact that when you plug the XSW receiver into the Panasonic XLR Mic Adapter, the switch and the LED face down and are simply not visible while recording. Now, I know there is no standard for which way is up on XLR connections. We have no such problem, for example, on a TASCAM DR70D, but this really makes it impossible for us to use the XSW on camera the way we like. I could have lived with the rest of the compromises Sennheiser made with the XSW because the system is beautiful and beautifully built. It does, to my ears, have a little more low-end grunt. Although again, I think the Go sounds great too. Taken on its own, the XSW is dramatically less expensive, smaller, and easier to use than its more traditional, fully featured G4 cousin, much less expensive than the AVX, and unlike the Go, requires no cables or XLR adapters for connecting to the GH5 or the new full-frame Panasonic S1 Twins, again, via the XLR adapter. This is a big deal to me. That's my kind of jam. But you may have a different point of view, especially when it comes, as I mentioned earlier, to the compromises both companies made to combined interference distance performance, which may lead you to forget about either one. Okay. Well, California just had a 6.4 Richter scale earlier today, and severe weather, suburban Pennsylvania, suburban Philadelphia. The issue is that the TASCAM DR70D with the two receivers is in our kitchen, and I'm just walking down our street, and I would be surprised if either of these are working even now. And now it's starting to rain, so I think maybe I'll turn around and hopefully this will be enough. How hard is it about to rain? Okay, maybe I need to get back to the house. The things I do for you guys. It was raining a couple of minutes ago. Let's see what it's like now. Well, what it is right now is ghastly. But let's come out and let's start walking again and hope that like maybe I'll walk. And yeah, lightning. This is not a great idea. All right, so here we go again. This time, the thunderstorm is at least done. And now we've got three mics. We've got our long distance champ, the Sony UWP-D11 as a reference. We have the RØDE Wireless Go, and we have the Sennheiser XSW. So I'm just doing the same test that I did last year, it was the year before, which determined that the UWP-D11 had the best distance of the three tied winners for audio gear of the year, which were the Sennheiser AVX, the Sony, and the RØDE Filmmaker kit. Just fantastic. As you saw, since we generally don't have occasion to face away from the camera, nor typically operate more than, say, 10 feet away from it, this is less of an issue in practical terms than one might imagine. Though, there have been times where our storytelling ambitions go a little farther, like, as a matter of fact, apropos, this.
1, 2, 3. Hey, I'm Claudia. Okay. Hey everybody, I'm Claudia Brownstone for Three Blind Men and an Elephant, and we're here in New Jersey at the shore. We're testing two mics, number 1 and number 2, and let's go and walk and see how far they go. See you later. I am walking down the beach, and the waves are actually pretty cool. And I don't know if you can see that, but the weather is turning a little dark on that side, but it makes for good photography. People enjoy that kind of vacationing.
Yeah, both mics would have failed this test. Or this. Ghostbusters, 1984, the original, one of the greatest movies of all time. There are many reasons why, but one of them is the locations around New York City, like this one, Hook and Ladder Company number 8 at the corner of North Moore and Varick. Although in this case, I think both the XSW and Go would have handled it just fine. As for latency, at the levels I observed, less than a frame, it matters only, I think, if you're using 2 or more different systems with 2 or more different latencies. If you're using the same system with multiple mics, as we have, you won't notice it, even when lip peeping, because you won't have phase differences, and the latencies are simply too small to detect visually. Though, heads up, if you do use mics with different latencies, the good news is that Isotope's RX7 is even better than I understood. I've learned through this process that the azimuth tool can help correct not only left-right gain imbalances, but timing differences too. Oh baby. Anyway, if you're only using a single lav kit mounted atop your camera for basic vlogging, either of these will do the trick as long as you're not doing anything fancy. You could argue that the XSW system is the way to go if you want maximum robustness, better low-end punch, or because you've got a wider set of use cases than usual. It's dead simple, for example, to swap out a 3.5mm jacked receiver instead of, or as an addition to, an XLR one, or pick up a 1/4-inch jacked transmitter for use with a musical instrument instead of a 3.5mm jacked one, or work with a handheld mic with built-in transmitter as long as that mic happens to be made by Sennheiser and is XSW specific. And I might agree with you. Or you could equally argue that the Go is every bit as good and in some ways better in the real world. As I've said a number of times now, lighter, smaller, offering a novel built-in mic, making it faster to set up and take down at trade shows, while retaining the option of a lav mic for a cleaner look and cleaner sound. More transparent operation, less worry about batteries, and cheaper. I might agree with you. Personally, I'd rather just glance at my receiver than having to remember sequences of button pushes or flashing lights and colors. But, oh yeah, with the XSW upside down on our camera, that's a moot point anyway. Ugh. Spending $400 for a pair of Go's, $600 if you add a couple of Smart Lav Pluses and SC3 adapters, a touch more if you need XLR adapters, instead of $700 for a pair of XSWs with the ME2 mics included, may be a meaningful difference for people on a tight budget who want to dramatically improve their audio quality beyond just about any camera-mounted mic, irrespective of reputation or how much that camera mic may cost. Or not. But in either case, That's what's great about lavs. They close the distance between the source and the mic. Although I should add that the Rode mics are smaller and easier to place under clothing using something like Rycoat undercovers because they're basically one diameter. Of course, you still have the option of spending $800 for a pair of RODELink Filmmakers, less operationally compromised, and some may prefer the simplicity and safety of AA's, but they are much bigger and do require you to stop filming when you have to change batteries. The Go, as well as the XSW, by the way, can run off external as well via the USB port. As I said earlier, no such option on the RODELinks. Or yeah, you could spend double for the MKE2 equipped AVX, or almost double for the ME2 variant. Though I would not underestimate how happy either AVX kit might make you. Or forget about spread spectrum advantages. In order to get the best performing lav mic for interference and distance we've ever tested, Sony's UWP-D11, which I understand has just been updated. Which, by the way, also includes a dual channel receiver option, uses super quick AA battery trays. Yeah, it's just really well thought out. It shows that it's, I don't know, the 100th and 50th generation, something like that. But let's wrap up the Go and the XSW this way. As by now you've no doubt surmised, I personally prefer spread spectrum automatic frequency hopping technology over more traditional RF. You already know I love Sennheiser's AVX. And on the other hand, if you didn't know, let me tell you that especially when it comes to audio gear, I love and appreciate value. So I was predisposed to loving the XSW. But the challenges turned out to be, as we wrap this up, one, we don't need the particular and very real advantages the XSW system offers, from modularity to robustness to audio quality. Two, the single compromise I cannot abide. It's a silly one, really, and I imagine the next iteration will be taken care of. I hope so. That is, the inability to see or manipulate the receiver while attached to the XLR adapter is a step too far for what we do and how we do it. And three, the unique characteristics and breakthrough pricing Rode bestowed upon the Go are steps too good, again, for what we do and how we do it, to switch horses at this point. Of course, as always, your mileage may vary. If money were no object, I'd still prefer the AVX over all of the systems we covered today. Although, I am expecting a package to arrive momentarily from a French company, Pico Gear,